Imagine the sun dipping low over a vast, unforgiving landscape, casting long shadows across a parched red earth that stretches endlessly to the horizon, where the air shimmers with heat and the distant roar of something monstrous echoes through the scrub. Welcome to prehistoric Australia, a land where nightmares walked the waking world, a continent forged in fire and ice, teeming with giants that could crush a man beneath their feet or tear him apart with claws like scythes, a place so brutal that even the stones whisper tales of terror and survival. Picture yourself there, heart pounding, as a shadow falls over you, not from a cloud, but from the colossal bulk of a diprotodon, the largest marsupial to ever roam the earth, a wombat the size of a rhinoceros, lumbering forward with eyes that gleam like embers in the twilight, its massive jaws grinding vegetation with the force to splinter bones. And you realize this is no dream. This is the dawn of a story that spans billions of years. A cinematic saga of creation, catastrophe, and the indomitable spirit of life clinging to a hostile world. Our journey begins not with these beasts, but deep in the mists of time, over 4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth was a molten hellscape, and the seeds of Australia were sown in the cosmic forge. The planet cooled, continents collided and drifted like colossal ships on a primordial sea, and around 3.8 billion years ago, in what would become Western Australia, the first rocks solidified ancient gneisses and granites of the Pilbara Craton, silent witnesses to the birth of life itself, where stromatolites, those layered mounds built by cyanobacteria, began trapping sediments in shallow seas, oxygenating the atmosphere in a slow, revolutionary breath that would change everything. Fast forward through the Archean Eon, where volcanic eruptions painted the skies in ash and lava rivers carved the land, to the Proterozoic, a time of supercontinents assembling like puzzle pieces. Australia was part of Rodinia around 1.1 billion years ago, then fragmented, only to reunite in Panotia, and finally Gondwana, that southern behemoth uniting what we now know as South America, Africa, Antarctica, India, and Arabia. With our fledgling continent, these tectonic dances shaped Australia's core, building mountain ranges like the ancient Stirling Range, eroded now to gentle hills, but once rivals to the Himalayas, their folds telling stories of immense pressures and heats that warped the very crust. As we plunge into the Phanerozoic Eon, the Cambrian explosion ignites around 541 million years ago, flooding Australia's shallow seas with bizarre creatures trilobites scuttling across the ocean floor, their compound eyes scanning for predators, while anomalocarids, those shrimp-like horrors with grasping appendages and circular mouths lined with teeth, patrolled the waters like underwater demons, feasting on anything in their path. Fossils from the Emu Bay Shale in South Australia capture this frenzy, a snapshot of evolution's wild experimentation, where life diversified in a blink of geological time, setting the stage for more terrors to come. The Ordovician period follows, with rising seas drowning much of the continent, depositing limestones rich in corals and brachiopods. But then the ice ages grip the globe, freezing Gondwana's poles and causing mass extinctions that wipe out 85% of marine species, yet life persists, resilient as the red dirt that would one day define this land. Silurian and Devonian times bring the first land plants to Australia's fringes, vascular ferns and lycopods colonizing the swamps, while fish evolve lobed fins, precursors to limbs that would one day carry tetrapods ashore. Imagine the eerie silence broken by the splash of a eusthenopteron, a fish with lungs, hauling itself onto mudflats teeming with insects the size of crows, their wings buzzing like thunder in the humid air. By the Carboniferous, around 359 million years ago, vast forests of giant club mosses and horsetails tower over the landscape, their decay forming coal seams that would fuel future civilizations. But beneath the canopy lurk amphibians like the labyrinthodonts, crocodile-sized predators with maze-like teeth, ambushing prey in the shadows. Australia's northern tropics were then equatorial jungles, alive with the croaks and slithers of early vertebrates, pushing evolution toward the reptiles. The Permian period escalates the drama, with Gondwana's interior drying into deserts while glaciers advance from the south, and here emerge the therapsids, mammal-like reptiles that hint at our own lineage. But catastrophe looms: the Permian-Triassic extinction, the Great Dying 252 million years ago, triggered by Siberian volcanic floods releasing greenhouse gases, acidifying oceans and scorching the land, killing 96% of marine life and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. Australia's rocks record this apocalypse in the Sydney Basin, where coal measures give way to barren red beds, a testament to a world on the brink. Yet from the ashes rises the Mesozoic era, the age of reptiles, where dinosaurs claim dominion. In the Triassic, around 252 to 201 million years ago, Australia, still fused to Gondwana, hosts early dinosaurs like the prosauropods, plant-eaters roaming fern prairies, while pterosaurs soar overhead on leathery wings, their shadows racing across the ground like omens. Fossils from the Ipswich coal measures reveal these pioneers, but the real horrors unfold in the Jurassic, 201 to 145 million years ago, with sauropods like Rowetasaurus thundering through conifer forests, their necks stretching to the canopy like living cranes, each step shaking the earth, while allosaurs, sleek killers with serrated teeth, stalk the undergrowth, their roars echoing through the valleys. Imagine the terror of a herd stampede, dust clouds billowing as these giants flee a pack of predators, bloodstaining the prehistoric soil. The Cretaceous period peaks the dinosaur drama, 145 to 66 million years ago, with Australia drifting northward, its climate warming into a greenhouse world. Here roam the ornithopods like Muttaburrasaurus, bipedal herbivores, grazing on flowering plants that first bloom in this era, while ankylosaurs, armored tanks with clubbed tails, defend against theropods like Australovenator, Australia's own velociraptor-like hunter, swift and deadly with claws that could eviscerate in a flash. Marine realms teem with plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs, long-necked serpents gliding through coral seas, snatching fish in jaws lined with conical teeth. And above, Quetzalcoatl-sized pterosaurs ride thermals, their 10-meter wingspans casting eclipse-like darkness. But doom descends 66 million years ago. The Chicxulub asteroid slams into Earth, unleashing tsunamis, wildfires, and a nuclear winter that extinguishes 75% of species, including the non-avian dinosaurs. Australia's survivors, birds and mammals, inherit a shattered world, the iridium layer in its rocks, marking this cosmic punctuation. Enter the Cenozoic era, the age of mammals, where Australia, now separating from Antarctica around 35 million years ago, begins its lonely voyage north, isolating its fauna and flora in a natural laboratory of evolution. The Eocene, 56 to 34 million years ago, sees rainforests blanket the continent, home to early marsupials diverging from placental kin, with creatures like the Tingamara fauna, tiny possum-like animals scampering through the understory, while crocodiles lurk in rivers, their eyes breaking the surface like periscopes. As the Oligocene cools, 34 to 23 million years ago, drier conditions prevail, and megafauna begin to emerge, giants adapting to changing landscapes. By the Miocene, 23 to 5 million years ago, grasslands spread, fostering the rise of massive herbivores like Palerchestes, a marsupial tapir with a trunk-like snout, slurping vegetation in woodlands that echo with the calls of thunderbirds, early ancestors of Genyornis. The Pliocene, 5 to 2.6 million years ago, intensifies the aridity, with ice ages cycling globally, and Australia's interior transforms into deserts, while coastal refuges nurture diversity. Here thrive the first true megafauna behemoths, Diprotodon optatum, weighing up to 2.8 tons, a gentle giant browsing on shrubs, its pouch cradling young in a world growing harsher, flanked by Procoptodon goliath, the short-faced kangaroo standing 3 meters tall, leaping bounds that cover 9 meters in a single hop, its powerful legs propelling it from predators like Thylacoleo carnifex. The marsupial lion, a tree-climbing ambush killer with bolt-cutter jaws and thumb claws that could disembowel with a slash, its roars freezing the blood of any who heard. Lurking in the shadows is Megalania prisca, a monitor lizard up to 7 meters long, venomous and armored, slithering through the bush like a dragon from myth, its forked tongue tasting the air for blood. Giant snakes like Wanambi neracortensis coil in caves, constricting prey in darkness, while Genyornis newtoni, a 2-meter-tall flightless bird, struts across plains, its massive beak cracking seeds and bones alike. Quincana, a terrestrial crocodile with ziphodont teeth, charges like a hellish hound, and Sthenurus, the robust kangaroo, browses high branches with clawed hands. These creatures paint a picture of pure nightmare fuel, an ecosystem where survival demands size, speed, or savagery, where dust storms whip across savannas and waterholes become battlegrounds, the air thick with the scent of fear and blood, as packs of Thylacinus, ancient thylacines, larger than their modern descendants, howl under starlit skies. But change accelerates in the Pleistocene, 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago, with oscillating ice ages plunging the world into cold snaps, lowering sea levels and exposing land bridges. Australia's climate swings wildly, from wet pluvials fostering lush habitats to dry interglacials expanding deserts, stressing the megafauna who must migrate or adapt. There's massive bodies demanding vast resources in a land growing stingier. Then, around 65,000 years ago, though some debates push it to 50,000 or even 43,000, the first humans arrive. Intrepid seafarers from Southeast Asia, navigating treacherous waters in canoes or rafts, braving swells and storms to step onto Sahul, the combined landmass of Australia, New Guinea, and Tasmania. These first Australians, ancestors of today's Aboriginal peoples, bring fire, tools, and ingenuity, their footprints etched in the sands of Lake Mungo, where burials dating to 42,000 years ago reveal sophisticated rituals, ochre-painted bones, honoring the dead in a landscape alive with giants. Imagine their awe and terror crouching in eucalyptus groves as a herd of Diprotodon rumbles past, shaking the ground, or fleeing the charge of a Procoptodon, its leaps like earthquakes. They hunt with spears tipped in stone, targeting the young or weak, their fires altering the vegetation, promoting fire-adapted plants, but perhaps accelerating habitat loss. Aboriginal Dreamtime stories capture these encounters, weaving emotional tapestries of creation and caution the Katamakara, sky-dwelling monsters that fell to earth, possibly echoing memories of megafauna trapped in drying lakes, or the Yamuti, a giant beast akin to Diprotodon, whose bones litter sacred sites, tales passed orally for millennia, embedding history in myth, evoking the sorrow of loss and the reverence for a world where humans were but small players in a grand, terrifying drama. As the last glacial maximum grips 26,000 to 19,000 years ago, sea levels drop 120 meters, connecting Tasmania, but the cold intensifies aridity, shrinking water sources and forcing megafauna into shrinking refuges. Debates rage over extinction causes. Did human overkill, with sophisticated hunting techniques like fire drives, tip the balance, as some evidence from Cuddy Springs suggests overlapped timelines, or was it climate's cruel hand, with droughts and vegetation shifts starving the giants, as Neracorte caves is? Fossils imply gradual decline? Likely both, a tragic synergy where sparse human populations amplified environmental stress, leading to a cascade. By 40,000 years ago, many species dwindle, Genyornis vanishing around 47,000 years ago amid eggshell evidence of human cooking, Thylacoleo fading as forests retreat, Megalania slinking into oblivion as prey diminishes. Imagine the last Diprotodon, emaciated and alone, collapsing in a dry riverbed, its bellow fading into silence, a poignant end to an era of titans. Emotional echoes resonate in Aboriginal lore, stories of bunyip, water monsters, perhaps inspired by lingering megafauna or their bones, evoking fear and respect, binding people to the land in a spiritual continuum. As the Holocene dawns 11,700 years ago, the climate stabilizes, seas rise, severing Tasmania around 11,000 years ago, isolating populations who adapt, developing rich cultures. Amid the ghosts of giants, the dingo arrives around 4,000 years ago, a new predator. But the megafauna are gone, their bones bleaching under the sun, a reminder of fragility. Yet, Australia's nightmare fuel lingers in its essence, a continent scarred by fire, flood, and famine, where modern descendants like kangaroos and emus pale beside their ancestors. But the land's drama endures, from Uluru's ancient red heart, formed 550 million years ago in sedimentary basins, to the Great Barrier Reef's coral wonders, built over millennia. Reflect on this saga, dear viewer, as the camera pans over today's outback, where fossils emerge from eroding cliffs, whispering secrets of a world that was pure terror, yet birthed beauty and resilience. The human spirit, forged in that crucible, teaches us humility before nature's might, urging us to preserve what remains, lest we join the vanished in history's shadowed halls. But wait, the story deepens. Let's circle back to those early arrivals, the first peoples whose ingenuity turned horror into home. They painted rock art at sites like Karnatakul, depicting megafauna hunts with boomerangs and woomeras, emotional vignettes of triumph and tragedy, their songs carrying the weight of 65,000 years. A timeline now challenged by genetic models suggesting later arrivals around 43,000 to 54,000 years ago, yet archaeological treasures like Majed Baby rock shelter push evidence to 65,000, axes and ochre grinding stones testifying to advanced technology amid the giants. Picture a family huddling by a campfire, flames dancing as elders recount the rainbow serpent, creator and destroyer, carving rivers with its coils, perhaps metaphor for ancient floods that drowned megafauna herds, or the Tidalik the frog, whose thirst dried the land, mirroring Pleistocene droughts that doomed the thirsty behemoths. These narratives aren't mere myths, but encoded histories, emotional bridges to a past where humans coexisted with nightmares, learning to read the land's moods, from monsoonal rains flooding northern plains to southern blizzards blanketing Tasmania in ice. As extinctions unfold, the land transforms the Nullarbor Plain, once forested, becomes a karst wasteland riddled with caves, preserving megafauna remains, like the Victoria Fossil Cave, where Thylacoleo skeletons tangle with Diprotodon, frozen in eternal struggle. Emotional weight presses as we contemplate the loss. Species like Zygomaturus, a swamp-dwelling marsupial with moose-like horns, vanishing as wetlands dry, or Simus, the leaf-eating kangaroo, leaping no more. Human impact, though debated, adds a layer of poignancy. Did over 50,000 years of fire management alter ecosystems, favoring eucalypts over megafauna forage, or was it the spear's sharp kiss that hastened the end? Evidence leans toward climate primacy, with oxygen isotopes in wombat teeth showing vegetation shifts predating humans. Yet the timing coincides suspiciously, a dramatic tension in the narrative. Fast forward through Holocene stability, where Aboriginal societies flourish, numbering perhaps 750,000 by European contact, their deep connection to country embodying the emotional core of this tale, stories of the emu in the sky, a constellation guiding seasons, or the seven sisters Pleiades, fleeing a pursuer across the heavens, intertwining astronomy with survival lore born from prehistoric observations. Australia's geological scars, like the Hamersley Range's banded iron formations from 2.5 billion years ago, when oxygen rusted the seas, remind us of cycles, booms, and busts, life and death. Cinematic vistas unfold, drone shots over the Kimberley, where ancient seabeds uplift into gorges, or the Flinders Ranges, Ediacaran fossils of soft-bodied precursors to Cambrian horrors. Emotional swells as we honor the First Nations' stewardship, their resilience mirroring the continents, surviving invasions both natural and human. In closing this epic, feel the chill as night falls on the outback, stars wheeling overhead in patterns unchanged since the megafauna gazed upon them, a reminder that prehistoric Australia, with its pure nightmare fuel, wasn't just a land of terror, but a crucible forging the extraordinary, teaching us that from fear springs wonder, from loss comes wisdom, and in the red earth's embrace, history lives on, eternal and unyielding.